Hello, everybody. So, questions? Anybody?
Yes, I got my list.
Fire away.
So I've actually been meaning to ask this for the last 16, 17 years. I don't know. During one of the first
I'm
classes.
intimidated.
No, it's nothing really. In one of the first classes, there was a self-help high blood pressure step. It was one or the other. In one class, I thought I heard same side. The other class, I heard opposites. I don't know which one. 9 and same side 2, or 9 and opposite 2.
Same side.
Same side. Finally, after 15, 16, 17 years.
Yeah, now I'm amazed. The answer to a question from 17 years ago. Got another one?
Yes. What causes sweaty feet and hands?
Fourth stratum.
That's what we thought. Fear.
Yes. So I've known people that, it's so profuse that they have lots of scaling skin because it's always wet. One of them was a guitar player, and he would rust his strings all the time because of sweating. Used all kinds of stuff, the gadgets, the things they order off the TV, went to the doctor. And after that, the only thing that the doctor said, well, the only thing we have left is we can go in and cut your sweat glands. So I thought I'd try something different. And they came, and basically the 23-25 sequence is the one that seemed to make the most difference. So fourth stratum, but the 23-25 combination sequence worked very profound on most of the people that had that issue.
Okay.
Feet and or hands. And it applies for anywhere else as well. Can I take a moment to talk about the blue zones? Blue zones are from a study that's done on trying to figure out, everybody's worried about longevity. So this is why people live to be a century and older. So people that are 100 and older, and where you have a number of them in an area. So there's some commonalities what they find, and some of these places even have a sign on the road when you're coming into it that says blue zone, a blue sign with blue zone. So it started in Italy, this study, and there's a number of places around the world. I think I only saw one sign on a map of a place in the United States, and that was up in the mountains in California, in the mountains. So that was another thing, is they were usually in a higher elevation. They were with people that, I'll give you some things they found and tested, because here's the deal. You have people living here. I know people not far from here that 100, 97, 102, 103, 104, and some of them are doing fair. So one of the things that they did with these people is they gave them cognitive tests. For instance, American statistics that people that live to be 100, their cognitive has sometimes dropped 70% or more. And one of the simple basic tests is they would give them like a square that's overlapping another square. I don't know if you can see that. And that they would also give them a circle. And all they're supposed to do with the two squares is duplicate it. Draw another two squares, not over that, but next to it. And all they're supposed to do with a circle is draw a clock face, like 12, 1, 2, all the way back around it. Well, they find that people that are 100, especially in this country and many other countries, they couldn't even do that. And many of them would leave it blank because it was too much of a mental task to do. But these blue zone areas are people that they got it, cognitive. They're healthy. So it's not just did you live, what's your condition of physical health, what's your condition of mental health? And some of the things they found, commonalities, is they did not have usually televisions, cell phones, computers, EMFs, and all of these type of things which are killing us. That's why I talked about that with that other book. Remember the rainbow electricity book? That's the science that proves that. The other thing is they lived at a higher elevation away from the mess and the smog and the toxins. They ate local food and often cooked it themselves. And here's what else that defies all of the experts, for instance, in this country. They ate a very, very low protein diet. Everything here is all about no carbs or low carbs and high protein. Well, I can tell you already, that's going to create muscle problems, joint problems. You're going to get stiff earlier. It slows down your digestive tract and leads to an early death. What they did is very low protein and high carbs and lots of vegetables, usually fresh. You know what else they did? Exercised. There was this one guy who was over 100, and he would walk 3 times a day. But they were walking up and down hills and steps. And there was an interview, they were going with this guy, and this one was in Italy, little town in Italy. And he was going back towards his house with them, and he's going up this long thing of steps. And he asked the other guy, which looks about in his mid-30s, he says, "Are you okay with steps?" The guy over 100 asked the guy that was in his mid-30s, "Are you okay with steps?" So they stay physically fit. And there was another thing that they noted with these people. They often smiled. They often had a smile plastered on their face and laughed a lot. They enjoyed life. That really boosts your immune system and makes everything better. So those were kind of the basic outstanding things, other than other things that you could add in, like genetics. And the genetic side is where they were usually in the same place, all doing the same stuff that I just talked about. So it went from generation after generation. So that was my tidbit on blue zones. You said you had more questions.
Irene, I think it was last week, she developed a lower back pain, and she can only sit for an hour now.
Can you relate it to anything as to why she developed that?
Well, I don't know, because, she's had scoliosis for a while, and I've been working on her a lot more now because, with having to stay home more often, I have more time to work on her, and she feels straighter and she looks straighter, and we're wondering if something shifted inside of her and caused that pain. We don't know.
That happens a lot, because when the spine is shifting, just like when it's shifting out, then it's stressing the muscles and ligaments. So the same way it's accustomed to being out and it comes back in alignment, then it's stressing muscles and ligaments. I get that all the time with people with very, very chronic conditions that are severe with that. So I don't know which the case is, but the priorities there for anything to work circulating up the back for the spine is to always make sure that the 15s are open.
Okay.
And a lot of the sequences that you work on to help that project, you'll notice that they're including a big focus on the 15s, like second mock. Second mock is one of the key features specifically for scoliosis.
Right. I've been doing third.
Third mock?
Yes.
Actually, second mock for scoliosis. Third mock is okay, but second mock is going to be more profound.
Okay.
And the strange thing is doing second mock when you're working on the front of the body down through the rib cage is where you're having the bigger impact on the spine. You normally think, well, spine problem, work on the spine. And in TKM, there's so many things, like if it's up, you work down. If it's down, you work up. If it's front, you work back. So same kind of thing. Of course, bladder is being worked on by those and is important. Things like bladder, supervisor, third mock are more supportive. I would look at key things as 15 and second mock for priorities. And if it is muscles that are having problems adjusting to the way they should be, then you can add in bladder and R&R fourth, just for getting relief for the muscles.
When you're doing the bladder and you're doing the touching close to the spine, follow the scoliosis spine or follow where the spine should be?
Yes. You can do either way.
Either
It
way.
depends on how severe it is. In other words, if you follow where the spine is, because it has curved over. So
Okay.
here's where the spine should be. So you can work where the spine should be, and you know that when you have curvature, that where it's curving out to, that is where your primary areas are that need help. And if they align with a 2 or a 23 or a 9 or a 10, that you also want to include working those to help get that to release, because wherever there's congestion, it contracts. So the spine, if it's pulling this way, that means the congestion is here. You're going to have problems on both sides, but you want to work the primary congestion. So working here is going to allow it to go back.
Okay.
So work where, because we've had, I forgot what the percentage is, people that are actually dwarfed because of the severity of scoliosis, that their organs are shutting down, they can't function, they're not growing, nothing's happening, and can lead to death because of the severity of scoliosis. So we worked with some very severe cases. Some of those cases, you work where it should be, because it's hard to even find where that thing is. But working where it should be is helping teach it to come back. I would throw in every once in a while working where it is. Mix it up. Mix it up.
I have a question.
Go for it.
About the, I forgot what you called them, the frequency immune drops last week or 2 weeks ago. You added some new frequencies in, and my question is, so like black walnut hull, I think, and wormwood, if you have reacted to that in an actual supplement, would you react to it in a frequency?
How long had it been since you reacted?
A couple of years ago, my daughter reacted to it in a supplement. It caused her throat to swell.
Do you know how to do just basic muscle testing?
Yes.
I would test it first, because the body changes all the time. So, the allergy reaction to it could be gone.
Okay.
On the other side, it could be there the same, or it could even be there worse.
Oh, okay.
So if she does have an allergy reaction to it, then you wouldn't want to do that. But that's more likely to the substance. The frequency will work very, very different. Although there will be some response, but it won't be anything to the same degree.
Okay.
Okay. And I had about a 2-hour conversation with a doctor last night about this subject with the virus, because, there is a deadly virus going around out there. And I think in Texas, there's something like 2,500 children in the hospital. But, I don't know what the real statistics are. Are they in the hospital because they're quarantined because they got tested and they got the antibodies and they have no symptoms and they're not contagious, or are they sick to some degree? We don't know the truth anymore. We're not getting the truth. But anyway, children overall are far, far safer concerning this virus than anyone else. Most people are safer. It's people that are unhealthy. In this country, one thing that's included there is overweight. And if you've heard any reports, you've already heard these things. Compromised systems, challenged systems. So with those, if you get it, you suspect that it is, or it has been tested that it is. Now, this is my FYI. I wouldn't be going to the hospital or anything. So here's the other thing is the professionals, the doctors, more so the medical researchers and medical scientists and epidemiologists are saying that if you have this virus and you go to the hospital and they put you on a ventilator, you greatly increased your risk of death. Another thing they do, if they put you on a ventilator and it doesn't seem to be doing the job, which it doesn't, they'll give you steroids. What do steroids do? Steroids inhibit your immune system. That's your only defense against this, because they're not doing one iota of something to kill it. And the reason is because if you watch those videos on the preparedness.info, And the same reason the FDA put a stop to those 66 million doses of hydroxychloroquine is because the study, this whole thing that's happening internationally, is called what's the name for it? But it's basically a study run by the WHO in cooperation with a number of nations and everything else. It was a pandemic. So I'm not going by a video. I'm going by the documentation and the people that are involved in the board that planned this last year. They started planning it 15 years ago. They planned when and exactly how they're going to do it last year and then released it. They have even in their records and print that they're going to reevaluate how this pandemic is going internationally next month in September, and they're also going to reevaluate it in this coming January. And that's why they do not want hydroxychloroquine and other things at work, because they want to test the society reaction, the financial reaction, and all these different things. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked there. But hydroxychloroquine is something that will work if you can get it. The sea herb is one of my go-tos, and that I would advise from Four Winds Nutrition. Four Winds Nutrition. You can order, it doesn't matter which dosage you get, and take it like I had mentioned before. And then there is the ones we're talking about right now, which I call the Immune Boost 19. Because you can't say anything about COVID, or they pull it or they come and slam you. If you have anybody that you think might react to one of those, because I didn't have those in there before, the new version that I just did, like I did last lecture, I had mentioned that I did put some herbs in there. Here's the other thing. There are some proprietary things in that they don't tell you. So there is a couple of natural ingredients in there that I'm not sure what they are. So obviously, if someone is sensitive to allergies or go into anaphylaxis, you definitely want to test them just to be safe and sure.
Okay, thank you.
Help? You bet.
Yes, that helped a lot. Thank you.
Can you talk about that hydroxychloroquine? Yeah, they're also saying to put some aspirin in there, the blood clots or something. Anyway.
It may happen, yeah. But you know what? That has to have been a medical person, because what else could you do for blood clots? If you got some extra virgin olive oil, go take a couple of tablespoons 2 or 3 times a day. Take 1,000 to 1,200 units of vitamin E. Take your fish oil, your omegas 3, 6, and 9. Those things are going to thin your blood as well. A lot of polyphenols and all the good things that are in there. The same thing I do with people that have a heart attack. And the first thing they want to do is aspirin is not good enough anymore. They may have already been on an aspirin and had a heart attack or stroke. Especially heart attack, I get a lot more of those. I just contacted this morning, someone couldn't make a meeting that I was having with a guy in India because somebody in their family had a stroke. So this is very common for human beings. That fits into cardiovascular disease. We need to clean our vessels and thin our blood properly. And you can do that naturally without these other drugs, because one aspirin will dump approximately a teaspoon of blood onto your stomach, and it causes microhemorrhaging throughout your body. So yes, you are getting some thinning of the blood, but it's a trade-off. You're getting a negative thing as well. When you're doing the oils, you get a good and a good. You get the thinning, and you get things that help your blood function better, your skin, your brain, your hair, all the way down the line. It's a plus, plus, plus. So that's the way I would prefer. So there are tons of things out there now talking about this, because it is such a hot topic, because the medical community is not treating it, and it's purposed to not treat it. Vitamin C, if you know somebody, I know a number of doctors that are doing IV vitamin C and taking care of it. Well, not everybody can do that, and we're not going to do it here because you got to be an MD. But you could take liposomal C, or you could make liposomal C. You can go online and find how you can make liposomal C. For instance, let me just round out the statistics. If you take a capsule, powder, or any of the natural forms of vitamin C, about 93% of that is going to go through your gut. About 7% will get into your blood to go through your whole body. When you take liposomal C, it flips that. You get about 97% of that goes into the first 12 inches of your small intestine immediately into your blood, and you get strong antioxidants go out throughout your system, and you get a small percentage that goes through your gut. That's why when I'm working with people with chronic problems and other things, I give them 2 vitamin C's at 2 different times. Regular vitamin C, because we got to take care of the colon, and the liposomal C, because we got to take care of the rest of the body. So when you're talking about a viral infection that's going to eventually get into your blood and travel through and make you sick and cause all these problems, if you have enough in your bloodstream antioxidants to kill it, that's the thing to do. If you can't do an IV, you can do liposomal C. If you think that don't worry about getting too much, because if you get so-called too much, which is not going to be a problem, you'll get diarrhea. Well, good. Then you'll clean out your colon a little bit.
I have a question. I have a client, a friend, who has yellow skin on her palm, and sometimes it shows up on her face. Her liver tests good. What would you say that might be the root cause of? I've not ever encountered it, and I have a nurse friend who's never encountered it. So.
Oh, well, it's pretty common.
Okay.
Not medically, but I questioned the test. So just because they didn't find a liver problem, first I have to say this, it doesn't mean there's not a liver problem.
Okay.
Do you know approximate age of this person?
Yeah, she's mid-50s.
Okay, she's got a liver problem.
Okay.
If she's a human being and she's in her mid-50s and she has not cleansed her liver thoroughly, I guarantee she's got a liver problem.
Yeah, she's had gout and it's now better, but she's got other issues, so probably that's true.
Do you recognize any TKM knowledge about anger or repressed anger?
I don't see it in her, but she's really nice.
Yes, so it could be repressed anger.
Yeah.
So what it is, if you do actually eliminate the liver and third stratum correlation, it's first stratum.
Okay.
First stratum can cause jaundice, just like liver.
Okay. So even though it doesn't show up in her eyes, like it's just on the palm of her hand, then I could still tell her to do a liver detox.
Well,
Yeah.
think of
She's
it.
doesn't live near me, so.
I'll put it this way. Whether she had it on her hand or her eyes, or it looked fine everywhere, and it looked like she didn't have any problem with her liver whatsoever, she still needs a proper, good, thorough liver flush.
Detox. Okay.
Now,
Thank you.
you can do one of those, but to get the liver clean takes anywhere from a year to 2 years. Because
Okay.
you want to do them periodically. Now, the product that we use 2 products, and then others you get at the store. And we have one that we do a half a day. There's like 10-day, 14-day, 5-day, 3-day cleanses that you do. I've tried all these different things. I'm not in favor of them. So we've got it narrowed down to a 5-page thing that you follow, and 2 products, and then you get the rest at the store. And it takes a half a day. And it's extremely productive.
Okay.
You will get stones out and all kinds of stuff the very first time you do it. Now, the thing is, if you look at the products, they say you can do that each week. I would never advise anybody that.
Right.
So the soonest I would advise people is maybe a month. And then over time, you're backing that down to 2 months and then 3 months. And then once you start getting clean, you do every 6 months or a year. So after you're cleaned up, here is my final advice on it. I would do one at least every year for the rest of your life. Basic common sense. It is a filter for your blood that goes through everything in your entire body. That filter needs to be cleaned. So that's why I would say that it needs to be cleaned, whether she had any symptoms whatsoever. I know that filter needs
Sure. Okay. Do you have like that protocol that you could send to tell us what you do and maybe get whatever product she needs from you, or does that work that way or no?
Well, because it works different on different people, and some people it's really smooth and easy, and some people it's not. That if I'm going to be responsible, I really like to test them first.
Okay.
We can do remotely, but then I can be responsible for what's going on.
Sure. Yeah.
That makes sense?
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
The other side is, let's think about this first stratum correlation. So we're going to take the liver and everything, we're going to set it aside. We talked about that. Now we're talking about first stratum. And where are her symptoms? On the skin and a part of her body, on the palms.
Her epidermis,
Yeah, her epidermis. So it's just clarifying that it's first stratum.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right, that helps.
That my assumption would be she's a worrier.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I will address that with her, though.
Check pulses,
Both.
see what the textures are, and other history, and you'll probably get a roadmap.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she's had an interesting life, so I'm sure a lot will be revealed. Yeah.
She's human.
Thanks.
And the chat that wants to ask a question. You want me to read it?
Would you please?
Yes. I have an elderly friend who has such severe scoliosis that it affects her ability to breathe, and she has constant coughing because of the congestion of her lungs. Here's the question. What simple, in all caps, self-help can she do, since no one can get in to see her, and I would have to instruct her over the phone?
Well, here's the other one. No one can get in to see her. Is she quarantined? Does she have COVID? Or is there...
She didn't say.
Right, she didn't say. So you can understand that I'm lacking a lot of important information there, right? So the first thing that comes to mind is kidney.
Care facility.
Okay, a care facility, which those are really locked down right now.
Okay.
So I would work on kidney, and there's also the finger relation things to do with kidney, which, index is working kidney and bladder. If you hold index and little finger same time, you're working kidney and bladder in a different way. She could also work the 23, if you can send her or get her a sequence in a non-illegal way, in a proper way, that would be great. She can do kidney on herself unless she's got some disabilities. Kidney would be the priority, in my opinion, to work more of the core, because if I said lung or other things, they would probably help some symptoms, but my inclination is kidney is the root of this. But also remember, let's do this, since it has to do with breathing, a simple little thing like holding ring fingers all the time, because it deals with lungs and breathing. For instance, if you're out of breath and it's you yourself, you can loop your ring fingers like you're going to thump with it, and you loop your ring fingers, and that helps breathing. Now, if you'll remember asthma attack, you can't breathe, that is holding T3 and middle finger. So all of these are different correlations from different energy functions to help the function of breathing. So group them all together. And the one that she's getting more relief out of, do that one more, but don't neglect the others. So I hope that helps.
What about 15s for the scoliosis? The scoliosis was causing those problems.
Okay, so what a lot of people do, because it's easy, everybody likes the easy way. That's the same reason that they don't do the right legal thing, which is all they got to do is make this out and they can make 1 million copies. But you know what's easier? And I can send it. It's wrong. So same way that we look at TKM and you say, well, you can help 15s. Most people will just hold both 15s. Does that help 15s? Yes. That is the least way to help 15s. So you can hold 15 same side 6. If that's difficult for her, then I would suggest holding 15 and same side 3. And then 15 and same side 2. You can include the 25. What we want is to get that circulation going. If she can reach her 6, then you start out 15 same side 6, and 15 same side 3, and then 15 in the same side, 2. And then you do that on the other side. And you keep repeating it. And that's going to help the scoliosis, all the descending energy, all the ascending energy. It's the shortest, simplest way to help everything in the body. Whenever you're holding 2 energy spheres together, I mean, you know that holding both 14s is really excellent and very, very effective for stopping hiccups. But let me also say that holding energy spheres bilateral is the least effective way of the options that we have to help energy spheres function better and their correlations. She needs basically what I talked to you about in the beginning, second method of correction, all those things. When somebody's able to go in there, that's what needs to be done as a regular therapy. Now, what is that? Well, it depends on what you can do. If it's every single day, that's best. If it's 3 times a week, 4 times a week, once a week, if it's less than once a week, then you're just throwing something at it. If it's less than once a week, it's not really a therapy. It's interesting that we're wanting to release felon criminals and people have been charged with murder out of prisons, but then you want to keep our elderly people, which is the treasure of society, locked up in a room, and you can't have visitors and you can't come out. That's just insane, even if they get sick. So if any of those people do get COVID, I suggest somebody go in there and give them especially the sea herb. Give them the doses of sea herb and treat them, because the chances are when you're that situation, odds are not in their favor at all. They've got to have some treatment. You know, if I would, here's the deal. If you have any connections, you know any doctors, you know any people, and I'm not supposed to say this, so I'm not saying this, you know anybody out of the country or anywhere else where you can get hydroxychloroquine, I would get some if you know people that are at high risk to keep on hand, because it may be too late to try and get it somewhere otherwise. And you know I'm not big on medication, but I would take it in a flash if you were at any of these people of high risk and you get COVID. Take it right away. Regular doses. Do not take extra doses. 1 dose a day. Don't get me started. Okay, we're going here. So does anybody have a question that we haven't addressed?
I would like copies of those diagrams that you were talking about in the live session.
Would you do me a favor? It will help me a lot. I'm juggling so many things. If you could send an email to tki@kinginstitute.org and just briefly remind me what it is you need, and we'll get that right out to you.
Okay.
And that goes
Thank
for
you.
any and everybody else. And if you want copies of those, or you want those blank forms that you can fill out, because I want you to help people. I want you to share this. I want you to get the sequences out there, but I want you to set a proper example that nothing negative happens, and it's a win-win for everybody. You know, let's get real here for a second. I don't win or lose whatsoever either way you do it. It's what I see happens with people out there down the line. It's not good for them if they're interested and they want to follow through. So it's just doing it the proper way. That's all. So send me your requests for any of those things that you need, and we'll get them out to you. And no, there's no charge for those.
Thank you.
I actually was wondering if I could share something that Dr. Crowley taught me.
Sure.
Well, I know you've mentioned that distance key method doesn't exist. Okay, so let's just say this is a picture of somebody. So, hold on, let's see here.
Got it?
Okay, so he taught me
I'm glad they're smiling.
to put this picture in my right palm. I tape it there. So I put it here, and then I treat myself, and it passes on to them. I don't know.
So can I give some, do you want any feedback?
Yes.
Okay. So are there any aspects of that can have an impact? Yeah, we can make that argument. Is it the same? No. We can make that argument for sure. The therapy is a touch therapy. So let's also say, if you pray for somebody on the other side of the world, does it have an impact?
Yeah.
Now, studies prove this. If you pray for them and they know you're praying for them, does it have the same or a greater impact? It has a greater impact.
Greater.
Every study shows that. If you lay hands on them and pray for them, does it have an equal or greater impact?
Greater.
It is a greater impact. And it's not only a science and study proven, it's also a biblical statement. So you can pray for people and it has an impact. So let's give another scenario. So we've showed it the different ways of how they work and which ones are showing repetitively that work better and what it says in the Bible. So if somebody was really thirsty, not just wanted to drink, they were really thirsty, and you prayed for them, or you drew a glass with water bubbling out of it, and it's just like excellent. If you want to put ice cubes or whatever, and then you thought, I'm going to hold that and I'm going to say, you have your drink of water. You are no longer thirsty. You have all this, that, and the other. How much impact is that going to have compared to giving them a glass of water?
None. Very little.
So I wanted to just show comparisons versus saying black and white. So I'm not going black and white, but I want to give comparisons of a touch therapy. Mm-hmm. You don't have the pulses. You don't have the reaction of the physical body. You're missing the textures, all of these different aspects, which are very, very critical. Now, if you want to do that because you have nothing else, or for whatever reason you want to do it, yeah, you can do that. But my goal is, like always, to provide the most effective help I possibly can. And that's what kept me with a thirst to what's more, what's better, what's better. There's too many people I've worked on that, you know, the examples I think of is people that call asking for help, book an appointment, and they die before they ever get to the first appointment. And in those situations, you know, you can pray for them, but I don't want to spend time, how would you say, doing a mental or a Schumann wave or any other kind of waves of activity and physics correlation of affecting their energy that's going to take time, that's not going to be as productive as we want, because time is so critical. There's my 2 cents.
Okay.
And hopefully that is embraced to get understanding. So we all need help. And you know that if you've done much with TKM, you know that working on people hands-on, there's some people you work on and bam, they get it. They get it quick. And some people you work on and it's like chipping away little bit by little bit by little bit when you are doing all that you know to do, because of the unusual dynamics of each unique person and everything that is that you bring to the table and they bring to the table. Yeah. So that in that way, I just want to do the most. That's my point. So this has been great, and I'm being pretty consistent as going over time.
You are.
But love you guys, and I look forward to doing this again. Also know that if you got any questions or anything and you want to send them in ahead of time so that we can actually make like a topic or whatever to talk about or get more thorough into it, please feel free to do so. We'd love to do that. But stay safe, stay healthy and happy, and please exercise faith and not fear or worry or anything else, because God is still on the throne. God bless you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Letty.
You
All
too.
right.
I wanted to say hi.
Thanks. It's been too many years. Good to see you. You look great.
You too.
Bless you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.